Hello everyone, I've been thinking about doing this video for a while and I figured with John Wick 3 coming out in May, it seems like a good time. So I will be using his story as well as a few other perhaps lesser known cultural icons. So without further ado, this one goes out to all the soy boys and the cucks, to the politicians, the fuckboys, douchebags, and especially the male feminists. But most importantly, this is for the younger generation, so I will try to watch my language, who are being taught at every turn that being masculine is some sort of a crime or a sin. It's time to man the fuck up. That's right, I'm talking about toxic masculinity. Well, I'll be talking about what I think masculinity is, and at the end, you can decide for yourself if it sounds toxic to you or not. So we'll start with John Wick, since I think this description is the most concise. If you've seen the movie, every one of his peers within the League of Assassins, or whatever you want to call it, respects, if not outright fears, John Wick to the point that he's referred to as the boogeyman or Baba Yaga. And in John Wick 2, the brother of the previous villain describes John Wick as a man of commitment and focus, of sheer will. He killed 3 men with a fucking pencil. And this, to me, is the core of masculinity, the will to put your nose to the grindstone and see something through to the end, to uphold your values and principles in spite of any hardship that you face. And what makes the pencil anecdote so poignant is not that he was able to kill 3 people with a pencil, but that he had the wherewithal to think to use a pencil in the first place to accomplish the task. He says he takes on a contract, and when he says he will do this thing, he makes damn sure that he does it. And that makes him effective, and this effectiveness is what scares the shit out of everybody else. And you can see this in your relationships from day to day, especially in marriage. You commit to your wife, and if you break that oath, then you're doing you and your wife and any potential children, provided you have children, you're doing them all a grave disservice. Some people will flame me for these next examples, but there just aren't that many good examples in Western art, so we look at anime. Uh, Goku from Dragon Ball Z, Ichigo Kurosaki, even Naruto, the bumbling moron, was they all exemplify what I think is true masculinity. It's even in Naruto's Nindo or ninja code that he never goes back on his word. In Dragon Ball Z, Goku is mostly portrayed as a goofball who just plays around even when he's fighting people until someone poses a serious threat to those that he cares for. And the same with Ichigo, Luffy from One Piece. They, when it's a real threat and they have to push through, that's when they power up or whatever. That's how animes usually go. Like especially with Goku, you see him go through the different Saiyan levels. And these are all exaggerated dramatizations, of course. But the same, I mean, even older action movies like Die Hard, I mean, John McClane was walking barefoot over broken glass. And these are, again, dramatizations portrayed in movies, but it carries over into the real world, even in something as simple as speaking and what you say. In the Rastafarian culture, from the little bit that I've read, uh, cultivated an attitude towards how you should act, especially as it pertains to your words. Word is bond, which comes from the Bible. When you commit yourself to something, you see it through to the end. If my niece asks me to come to her birthday party and I tell her yes, then I will be there. My boss won't stop me. I'm not working overtime. My girlfriend, wife, whatever. I will make sure that I am there because I said that I would. If you cannot back up those words, then what can you do? And it seems simple, and that's just it. It is simple. Anyone can do it. It's not necessary, it's not strictly a male thing. It just so happens that females tend to focus more on emotion and get distracted by it. You know, we go back to the animes, especially in the case of Naruto, because he didn't really have any like martial techniques or anything like that. And his enemies usually just ended up getting hit with a surprise attack that they didn't expect because the fight was dragging on, or because they underestimated him because he was a kid or whatever, or they were just overwhelmed in a war of attrition because they spent all their energy, and Naruto just kept going. He committed himself, and he would just keep fighting and trying new things until he found that one key opening that he needed. And this is why it is important to tell the truth, especially to yourself, because that's juggling lies is not easy, and you'll end up failing on your principles because of it. You know, I say I want to help women and girls grow up to be independent adults, so if they want to work on cars, I encourage that. If they want to play with Legos, I encourage that. You know, parents should encourage your kids to follow their passions. If they want to be a rocket scientist, or if your daughter wants to be a diesel mechanic, or an electrician, or whatever, you know, follow their passions and help them cultivate their passions and what they want to do, and not yours. This to me is real masculinity, and if you think it's toxic, well, then I'm toxic and I'm not changing it. And you if you're if you do think it's if you think masculinity in itself is toxic, then you need to quit hanging around with all the pansy ass soy boy feminists. I mean, they're really making us look bad. Man the fuck up.